everybody, I am Shelley Jo Wallstrom, also known as Amino Acid Lady and hypnotherapist, and I'm with my friend
Dr. Seth.
And we're here to teach you today about something that's really, really cool. We're going to talk to you today about the brain and your emotions, right? Right, Dr. Seth?
Yes, the limbic system.
Ooh, the limbic system. That sounds really cool, doesn't it? As a hypnotherapist and as human beings, we have emotions, right? We have emotions, we have memories. And how that works is, first of all, you have what's called your conscious level thoughts, and that's about 10 to 15% of your thought processes. Some people say lower, some are higher, but it's not very much. And it's the same for all of us. It's I gotta get up, I gotta get dressed, I've got to go to work. It's those kind of conscious processes of things that you're thinking about doing, goals, drive, willpower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's your subconscious, and that's the part that is 85% or more of your thought processes, which it holds all your memories and emotions from today back to forever. So you can see that there's a difference, right, Dr. Seth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the challenge happens when we have stories in our memory that can still, it's like carrying them around with us. And they could have happened a long time ago, right? So it's like all of a sudden a trigger will come up and it will remind you of that event. And we don't want to deal with it. So we go, oh, I don't want to deal with it. Because if I deal with it, it might make me sad or mad or frustrated or angry or all those kind of things. So I'm just going to stuff that emotion, right? I'm just going to stuff it. I'm going to stuff it. And something else comes up. Nope, don't want to deal with it. So we just stuff that. Nope, I don't want to deal with that. So we just stuff it. Then we're stuffing all our emotions to the point that something really tiny happens and we have this huge explosion. And normally when that happens, this event that started it doesn't even coincide with the big explosion, and we're wondering what happened. So now, Dr. Seth, give them your interpretation of the limbic system.
So limbic system, when we're talking limbic system, this part's deep, deep, deep inside the brain. Like if you were to cut it in half, like we always see this little shell-looking thing in the middle. Well, that's what kind of we're talking about. We're talking about like the hippocampus, we're talking about the amygdala, and we're talking about the hypothalamus. Okay. Now they each do separate things, but as together as a whole, they're again understanding and keeping track of all the things that happen to us in our lives from birth until the present time. Okay. And again, that's when we touch the hot stove as a kid, as a little toddler, because we all do it. And we all go, "Ooh, this is going to be fun to touch." And then you touch it and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that is the hottest thing ever." We never think about touching it again. Why? Because your brain's like, remember when you were 2 and you touched the hot thing? Don't touch it, it's gonna hurt. Or we smell something very familiar and we go, oh, grandma's house, cookies or something like that. It's that same system. It's running our emotions and it runs kind of our responses. It's really there to survive, okay? Think about it again, like back old school stuff, like, hey, you felt big thunder and stuff. Hey, maybe there is a dinosaur chasing you or something like that. You got to get away, okay? And that's what that brain's there for. So those parts are mainly survival. They're deep emotional types of things. But again, if we get in an auto accident and it's a red car, now every time we see a red car, we might get that little kind of emotional uptick every time we see a red car. Or again, you and your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, this is where you met. Oh, it's always super emotional. Like, oh, this is a great place. I love this place. We're always going to come back to this place. It's that same type of thing deep inside the brain. And so we just have to make sure that the inputs that we're giving it are positive inputs and our brain can start to give us positive responses back out. Now, granted, we're not in control of that all the time, but we got to try to work on that system to make it be as positive as we can be.
I think that's kind of cool. And I was just thinking when you said that about, you hear a song. And I'm an 80s girl, and which had the best music in and of itself anyway, right? I mean, so, and every time one of those songs comes on, I feel like I'm like back in high school, right? Especially if I'm in my car and I want to roll down the windows and open up the sunroof and let the hair go. And, it just makes you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm like a teenager again. Because it just takes you back to that memory, doesn't it?
Yep.
That's the really cool thing about it. Well, and these memories, sometimes we have things that happen to us that really are awful or horrible or whatever, and it's hard to let them go because it's really not the memory that's a problem. It's the emotion that's attached to it. That's the problem. Because when that memory comes up, it makes that emotion feels like that, it makes it feel like it just happened yesterday.
It's real.
Right?
Yep.
And that's why it feels so real and so hard to let go of it, because we haven't released the emotion, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we haven't reprogrammed the brain to understand that that input that's coming in isn't a fight or flight. It isn't a danger. The brain's just reacting how it needs to survive. And whether that's blowing up and fighting it or whatever, or running away. Some people just freeze and they don't know what to do. That's a normal reaction. We just want to be able to retrain that so that, hey, when these things come in, the brain goes, oh, I can think about it, methodically go, okay, well, how do I figure out what I need to do? How do I get out of the situation? And just make sure we do step by step by step versus just come in and, hey, fight it, run away, and things like that. So it's again, just retraining that brain, that emotional aspect, so our brain can let out what needs to come out on those ones.
And that's really powerful, because our memories is what make us who we are, right? So all the way back till today, those memories are things that we've gone through, we've lived through, we survived them because we're here, and we can take that information and we can learn from them and say, I'm not doing that again, or we can teach from it. We have empathy for people who are going through it. So the memories are important. We don't forget the memories. That's not what we want to do. We want to learn from them and be able to let go of that emotion, so it becomes just another memory that we can utilize as we're going forward, right? And that's the cool thing about, I use hypnosis, and that is where the brain and the conscious, subconscious can work together to figure out where those stories started, or where they're sitting in your body, so that you can heal from them, heal that moment, so that you're no longer carrying all that baggage with you.
Exactly, yeah. No, perfect. Perfect.
Now, you talked about the rest and digest and how that works. So give them a little bit more. I know we've kind of a little bit talked about rest and digest, but give them a little bit idea.
Right, so the main systems are that fight or flight or that rest and digest. And so the majority of our brain is trying to work in a rest and digest system, trying to calm the outflow going out to our body, okay? Now, what I do on my aspect of it is we're trying to retrain the brain to fire off on those systems, so we're working more often in those.